Weekly forecast video for the Quasidb service for the week beginning the 2nd of August. This is just a gold chart that I've just been looking at, so we can, have a look at that diagonal. We should perhaps be falling if we look at the sentiment. So we are a sell on the sentiment. So this is a video on the indices and risk. So I just want to show you the fact that we are risk on everything for the indices, apart from UK 100. And the UK 100 is a sell because the retail guys are net long. So that's the reason for that. Everything else is a buy because they're short. And they did move quite a lot on the US 30, the Dow Jones. Just before I show you the S&P chart, just be aware that the Aussie yen, the Aussie USD, they're sells. So we can see discrepancy where these will fall and these will rally. And normally they correlate quite well because they're risk sensitive. But in case these fall, that's the reason for it. Okay, and yeah, so we'll have to wait and see. They normally correlate well, but if the reason if they fall, then sentimentally they are a sell, so that would make sense. So yeah, US CAD, US Swiss, they're heavy sells. So S&P. So there's your 21-day crossover, SSI line 21-day here, and you would have entered round about there. You probably wait for the hour candle, and then your stop would have been below there, and then you would get a nice risk reward. You would probably be 2R by now, and so they are selling it in a big way, and that's the buy signal. So the crossover here, okay. So there was the sell here, but we really didn't move very far on that move. So they went long, so price should have fallen, but because we're fundamentally risk on, the risk on flows, it's going to probably disregard the sentiment. And these guys got paid. So these retail guys who went long, they got paid quite a nice little bit here. So it was good for those guys. And then they shorted it there. And so that's the buy signal about here. Yeah, around about here. So your stop would have been there, and you'd probably keep your profits, let it run. Ideally, you'd want to get above the all-time high. Whether or not we will, it's difficult to say. But the sentiment is a buy, and there's your buy signal there. So a little bit of payday for those guys. They went long, which is fine. That totally happens. And they started to short it here. They probably saw this candle and then they thought, oh, this is probably it now. We're not going to get higher than that. Let's short it. It did fall a little bit, and then we did rally. So it's a payday here, and then it's punishment there. And so that's that. I'll show you this 30, and you can probably imagine it's doing something similar, which it did there. So you've entered here. If you stopped, would have been quite wide. So it would be a little bit tricky, a bit risky, but you're looking for a 1-to-1 R there. If you waited for that new candle, and your stop was here, just over 1-to-1 R. And so we do want to be a little bit careful because we're very, very, very extreme on the sentiment. There's only 13% long, and everyone else is short. So it's going to be a big, big squeeze. And if we look at the Pareto principle, we shouldn't really see things exceed 20 or 80. It's just an equation that applies to mathematics and finance. So we really shouldn't be this extended. So I'd be a little bit worried, but that was your buy signal anyway. So you can always use these, for profits and things like that. Show you DAX, and then I'll wrap up the video. So it's in a little bit of selling there. So there's your buy. A little bit tricky. It did fall initially, but then we had a big healthy candle. So there's the buy signal there. And we are quite extreme, but not as extreme as the US counterparts. So 27%. So US 30 and S&P are very, very a little bit sort of drawn out. Could be getting a bit of exhaustion, maybe. But yeah, it's tricky to say. Um, if the Dixie holds its support, it could be an omen. So we are holding 92.6, which is at horizontal level here, and then we've got their diagonal, the 61.8, and they both coincide at 92.06. So if this holds, then we might be a little bit risk off. And like I was saying about the indices, we are very overextended, so there is a case perhaps a little bit of a sell-off today. We had some pretty rubbish data out of China. Their PMI data was just borderline on the 50 mark. If it's below 50, then it's a bit of a worry. So yeah, 92.06 for Dixie, and just remember that we are very overextended on the sentiment on the indices. So I'm going to do the currencies now, and then I'll wrap up with cryptocurrency. So hopefully this helps. Just be careful, and use this indicator and the trading station. It's really amazing. You can spot so many opportunities. You know, if you get it right, the timing's right, then you can get quite a lot of profit. So hopefully it helps, and I'll speak to you guys in the FX video.